where these unfortunate incidents happened, to immediately suspend all those involved in this awkward behavior whilst instituting appropriate disciplinary actions against them in line with Article 3 and 4 of the party's constitution. And this one we are going to enforce to the latter, because party leadership go into a meeting, National Executive, National Council, that is made up of almost everybody that matters in this party. Through a lot of deliberations, we take decisions. We've not even announced the decisions. Then people who think that they are more MP people than all of us will resort to such behavior. That is almost alien to our politics. And this is something that the New Patriotic Party is not going to countenance at all. At all. These are candidates that are active, loyal members of our party. Before we even come to the list, there are a lot of them that have come to us for discussions. There are a lot of them that they think that they are not being cleared or recommended by the National Executive Committee or the National Council because of one allegation or the other. There are a lot of them that they themselves have agreed to graciously withdraw from the primaries. Then you, as an ordinary supporter, not knowing what discussion may have gone on, will rather be raining curses on innocent people. I think that this is something that we are not going to countenance. We will make sure that rules and regulations, particularly our disciplinary measures, are instituted to instill discipline in our party. It cannot be said that a noble party.
Let's go back to Kwabri East. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has joined us via Zoom. Nuruddin, how is the constituency office at the moment? We understand it's been closed?
Today, around 10 a.m. today, when I checked, the office was still locked. And so I made some few calls to find out from the group that actually were not happy that their preferred candidate has been disqualified. I spoke to the leader and he told me that they are still waiting for the leadership to tell them, to speak to them, because they are not happy with the decision of the national executive. And so as I speak now, the office is still locked. The office is still locked, and the leadership has been called. Though the executive, the constituency executive haven't, spoken to them yet. According to the leader, there's one man from the palace, the chief palace, the Mampontin Hene Palace, called him to invite him because the case has been reported to the Mampontin chief. And so he's yet to meet them and find out exactly why they have been called.
So that means that no law enforcement has acted on this matter at all, Nuruddin?
Nobody has been arrested yet. I have made my checks with the police. I have also spoken to the leadership of this group, and they say that none of their members, none of them has been arrested by the police.
Right. Now, Nuruddin, for viewers who may not have that background, Kwabri East is where we have the sitting MP being the youngest member of parliament, Francis Korteng Mensah.
Exactly. That is where Francisca Mensah Korteng is the MP. It's just some few kilometers away from Kumasi. If you're heading towards Mampong, just after Tafo constituency, the next constituency is Mampong,
right?
Kwabri East constituency.
Right, and she's the daughter of an affluent businessman. Do we know why this disqualified candidate or seemingly disqualified candidates risks disqualification?
I didn't hear that. Please, can you come again?
Do we know why the candidate, the lawyer, risks disqualification?
Well, we don't actually know, but from the group, they are saying that there has been a decision that they should allow Francisca Mensah to go unopposed. And they are saying that from what they have gathered, it is because she's a female. That's why they want her to go unopposed. They are not happy about that because they have a political future. And so if that is how the party is supposed to go, and that is the line the party wants to go, then it will affect some of them in future, because it means if in the near future they are competing with a female, they would also ask them to step down for the female to contest, and that is not good for their future. So for now, they want to make sure that at least they should allow two of them to contest, and they would vote for whoever they want to lead them in the constituency.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin, for joining us from the Ashanti region. Now, meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the NPP, Sam Pine, has urged party members to disregard the supposed list of 105 candidates contesting in 46 constituencies in the Ashanti region circulating on social media. It's live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Dazi. We stay in the Ashanti region because there was wild jubilation among supporters of Grace Addo after she was cleared to contest the Mansour Kwanta primaries of the New Patriotic Party. Supporters of the former MP over the weekend were heard on various local radio platforms dismissing rumors that she was to be disqualified. The former MP is staging a comeback after she was unseated by Joseph Kwam in 2016 following a 2-year tenure. She pronounced herself winner of the primaries ahead of the elections. In an interview with Joy News' Nana Aljima.
The NEC decided to disqualify me after I've been qualified at the vetting level. And later on, we realized there was that agitation that there was an appeal, and because of that, I've been disqualified. My people have never been happy because they have been yearning for a change, even though I've been on the seat before. And that is where they compared my performance to the current MP, and they needed to bring me back. So I'm sure now that I've been cleared to go for the contest, they are going to vote for me massively. Look at the number of people who are here supporting me. They were just worried because they heard that I will not be qualified to contest.
So 4 years ago, Mr. Joseph Kwam beat you in the race. Yes. What do you think this time you will do different to bring you back into the seat?
You will say he beat me in the race. I will accept that because any loss in a race is a loss. There was that difference of one vote. And you could realize that the election was just tied. And therefore, for him to do his work, he has to do extra work for people to accept him, because if you beat somebody with difference one vote, it tells you that in the next election, if the person bounces back, the contest is not going to be easy for you unless you do something different. It means my loss might be maybe caused by something fishy.
So this time you've done your homework and you believe you can win?
I've done my homework, and even I was at home when people came around, always calling on me to come back and take the seat. To come back and take the seat and deliver them from what they tend to be very terrible for them. That even though I was in the opposition, I was doing better than what they are seeing now. Because Mansour Kwanta constituency is known to be MPP stronghold. And therefore, if we are in opposition, we realize that the whole constituency is in opposition.
Best of election coverage here on your election headquarters, Joy News. Do tune in at 1:30 where Araba Kumsin catches you up with the latest on the elections. Now, away from politics, convener of the Economic Fighters League, Ernesto Yeboah, has described his arrest by security operatives during a vigil at the Black Star Square last Saturday as unwarranted. The political activist was whisked away by a joint security team while leading the June 6 vigil against police brutality in the USA following the death of George Floyd. Ernesto Yeboah shares his story with host of Joy FM Super Morning Show, Kojo Yankson, after spending some hours in the police cells.
Ernesto, I know you normally to be a rather mild-mannered gentleman, but when there's a fight, it seems you come alive. Tell me about that. I mean, the Economic Fighters League, that's your organization. You organized this vigil. Why, though? Why did you care about this George Floyd issue?
Well, thank you very much, Kojo. I think we, upon reflection, realized that we share many similarities with our brothers and sisters in America whose lives are under constant threats and who are killed with impunity and all of that. Because we look back in our own country and we have the likes of Ahmed Swale, your own colleague, journalist, who was shot and killed in broad daylight, and yet no investigative reports out there from the police or any official quarters. You have the likes of Eric Ofuchu, who was shot and killed by a military armed officer who was there to protect him, ironically. We have the Tadi girls. I mean, so all of these reflections brought us to that conclusion that we cannot sit aloof and not add our voice or not see the linkage when our black brothers and sisters are racially abused and maltreated in China, in Europe, in the United States of America. It will be foolhardy of us to think that this black skin would be respected simply because it is coming from Africa and not from the United States of America. So this is one of the few reflections that we did to arrive at that conclusion.
Now, when I think of the name Economic Fighters League, I don't immediately think of issues like this. I think of economics.
Yeah.
You know, I think of issues to do with the economy and economics of being Ghanaian. So, is this part of your mandate? What exactly is the mandate of the Economic Fighters League? What are you about?
Absolutely. There's been an attempt over the years to take economics out of the streets understanding that people should actually have of economics. Economics is about us, it's about our survival. So if you can't survive in terms of where the next food is going to come from, where your shelter is going to be, and basic things like that, then you are not economically free. But we would often play it up there into the GDPs, per capita income, and all the blah, blah, blah. That loses its meaning and essence for ordinary people. So what we are doing is to bring the meaning back to the people, that when we say economics, it's actually about you, it's about your life, it's about your well-being, it's about whether you are surviving or you are dying.
You are a league of economic fighters.
Absolutely.
Who are you fighting?
We are fighting for the people, we are fighting for ourselves. We are fighting a system. And the reason why we find it important to, as it were, fight a system and to dismantle it is to be able to create opportunities for all of us. We do not want to focus energies fighting personalities. Because personalities, yes, may have their own idiosyncrasies and all of that. That's not what we are looking at. We are looking at the system and how it is structured. And currently the system as we have here in Ghana is one that is structured to, as it were, serve the inordinate needs and wants or luxuries of the few.
Now, lawyer for Ernesto Yeboah, who spoke to me on Prime Morning today, Francis Xavier Sosu, has urged governments to investigate police brutality in Ghana.
In this country, only you can check the records and you can check several articles that have been written about that. I read some on Ghana when I was coming here. In 2018 alone, police shooting leading to killing of civilians, we had about 20 of them. How many of them have been investigated? Have you heard that any killing has been investigated and brought to a total completion? We know that the officers who were in charge were interdicted, they were punished, some were standing trial for murder, some were standing trial for manslaughter, and so on and so forth, and the victims have either been compensated or victims were supported. Have you heard anything like that? No. So as a country, we have a situation on our hand, and things like this should remind us that things are not going well when it comes to law enforcement in our country. And we should use the occasion, instead of simply talking about America, like the Ministry of Tourism did. It was good because you want to show solidarity with the world. That is fair. But while showing solidarity to the world, what have you done about what is happening in your own backyard? I am thinking that this is an opportunity for us to have actually resonated all these things and say that, look, in the last 3 years, in the last 4 years, in the last 10 years, these are the number of police killings that we've had. Okay. And this is how we intend dealing with the situation. But we haven't done that. And this group, this group is playing a very, very critical role in our democracy, because civil rights movement is lost in our country. The voice of reason, the voice of conscience, that would just rise up for what is good in our country is missing. Because because we are so polarized politically. Everything is political. To the extent that even when we are fighting for the rights of people say it's political.
But it's a civil society group.
Please, most of the civil society groups, let's look at them and look at their history, look at the way they talk about things that happen in this country, and you will realize that they have never been fair to the facts. I believe that civil society organizations must be the conscience of our society. Whether political party A or political party B comes, they should stand in the middle there and be saying that this is right, this is wrong. Our religious organizations, our bar associations, and all these organizations, they must be the conscience of our society. But unfortunately, we failed.
Now, media managers and experts are advocating for the industry to be prioritized in the stimulus package announced by government for businesses adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Many businesses have been hard hit, and media organizations which have not been left out have had to resort to cost-cutting measures, including laying off staff. The industry has had to adapt quickly to new methods in adherence to social distancing protocols. Joy News editor Araba Kumsin has been speaking to some in the industry who have been highlighting how the pandemic has adversely affected them directly in the Hotline documentary, The Media, a Virus and Survival. Here are excerpts.
COVID-19, the deadly virus which has spread to every continent on the globe.
What's it like to actually have the coronavirus and undergo treatment for it?
Just 63 days. That's how long it's taken 17,704 people across the African continent to get infected with coronavirus.
The lives of thousands have been snuffed out as the ripples of an unprecedented pandemic, the COVID-19, the scale of which has never been witnessed before, reverberated across the globe, bringing robust economies to their knees and putting almost every sector, including the media, in distress. Now more than ever, the need for information has become pronounced. But how will Ghana's news media navigate these uncharted waters to live up to their mandate as they reel under the impact of this pandemic? The harsh impact of the coronavirus pandemic has been felt across board, and nowhere is it more felt than in the newspaper industry, which has already been struggling. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, their woes have worsened. I'm here today to speak to Managing Editor of the Daily Dispatch, Ben Efson, on how the pandemic has affected their business and how they are adopting innovative ways to stay alive.
The Dispatch has been around for over 22 years. And COVID was the first time that for 1 month the paper was off the stands because the vendors were just not, people were not going to work because the vendors sell by the roadside. So for 1 month there was no newspaper on the stand.
Because of the lockdown?
There was a lockdown.
Executive editor of the Daily Guide newspaper, Fortune Alimi, has lived this experience too. As a manager of one of the country's popular newspapers, he has had to take some tough decisions after patronage of their paper dropped significantly following the announcement of the lockdown.
We took the decision not to come out at all. But after coming out, we need to also take a lot of measures in order to stay afloat. As I said, we need to cut costs. We need to cut down even on production. We need to cut down on the hours of production so that we save production costs, electricity, transportation, fueling. We need to cut down on a lot of these things.
Let's talk about the impact it's had on the business. You mentioned that people were not patronizing the newspapers, especially during the lockdown. Why is that?
Why is that? Because people were not out. 2, the vendors were not even there. Even if they were there, they were not ready to also sacrifice their lives because they are also dealing with the public, the handling of money. You realize that one of the means of transmission of this disease is handling of money. You see hearing traders also contracting the disease. Where did they get it from? Through money.
Now, President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Roland Afil-Moni, joins us live with more. Good morning, sir. First of all, your reaction to this documentary and the effects of COVID-19 on Ghana's media?
I think it has come at the right time, the time when journalists, media owners, media watchers are all really under pressure as a result of COVID-19. In fact, we did anticipate the devastating impact of COVID-19 on the media. And so we put together a proposal after we had spoken to the government. And the proposal was presented to His Excellency the President, after which we held a closed-door meeting to look at how best the government can assist the media to survive during these hellish periods. In fact, the highlight of the proposal was that government should waive corporate spectrum and corporate fees for 2020. Tax waivers should also be given to media houses. We also propose that journalists who are frontliners by every stretch of imagination should also be given some allowances, 50% of their salaries for 3 months. And we also propose that the advertising revenue should be intensified so that journalists will survive what they are going through. We did a follow-up Zoom meeting last week, and we are hopeful that the proposal will receive a favorable response from officialdom.
Right. Dr. Afil-Moni, thank you so much for joining us. Looks like a lot is being done to ensure that the media industry is not too affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we're going to move to other stories, and the Bono Regional Police has arrested a driver and his assistant transporting over 8,400 slabs of dried leaves suspected to be cannabis from Nsoko in the Tain districts to Hamili in the Upper West region. The vehicle is believed to be Burkina Faso bound. The illicit drugs, carefully packed, were covered with sawdust and other legal goods in a Rhino cargo truck to outwit security personnel on the way. The driver and his mate, who were to be paid 7,000 cedis for transporting the weed, claimed not to know the owner of the substance. Now, the regional crime officer, Nana Kwekudia, however, assured they will be put before court. There's more from the Bono regional correspondent, Precious Semevo.
The 27-year-old driver, Ayuba Ali, and his 20-year-old mate, Amitus Sore, both natives of Konyokon near Babele in the Upper West region, claimed they were only hired to transport the goods from Nsoko in the Tyne district to Hamele, close to the border with Burkina Faso. The Rhino cargo truck was loaded with 180 sacks, with each containing 47 compressed slabs of dried leaves suspected to be cannabis. Detective Chief Inspector Adams Yahaya heads the Drug Law Enforcement Unit in the Bono region, and he explains how they arrested the biggest narcotic operation in the region.
They decided that they will pass through Menji. Then they will go through the Buidamp Road, where we don't have enough security checkpoints, to Banda Nkwanta. Then they divert left to Bole, then to Sola, Tona, Wa, then they connect into Hamele, which is the border town between Ghana and Burkina Faso. So around 1 a.m., we went to Nsoko, then we trailed this truck from Nsoko to Menji. When we got to Menji, we had intelligence that it had just passed, so we tracked this truck up to a section of the road, just some few meters to Banda, where we intercepted it. And it was only the driver and the mate that were on board. So we arrested them, and during interrogation, they admitted that actually they were contracted by somebody whose name they don't know at Menji. The owner was promised to meet them at Banda Nkwanta to join them so that they would go together. Then unfortunately, we intercepted them. But this is the biggest consignment that we've gotten so far. But if you check, we have a total of 180 bales, and each bale contains 47 compressed slabs. Then we have a total of 8,460 compressed slabs.
Bono Regional Crime Officer Nana Kwekudia said an investigation is still ongoing, and the two will soon be put before court.
Efforts are being made to get those who contracted them. But meanwhile, the driver and the mates are being processed for court. To them, they charge 1,000 cedis to cut the stuff from where they took it from to Hamele.
He appealed to the public to help with information to end the illicit drug business in the Bono region.
If you look at the way it has been packed, you see that it is very difficult to come out with the conclusion that it is containing drugs. Because Bono and Hafo, we are notoriously known for India hemp cultivation and then this trade. So that is why the UNODC found it very necessary to establish a unit here. So we were tasked to go all out to chase not only the smokers, but also the cultivators. And that is exactly what we are doing. Oh, we appeal to the public and you, the media too, to also help us all the time with information so that we go out to arrest the drug dealers. When you say, oh, after all, it is people who are trading in their drugs, I don't care. You care because it affects everybody.
For Joy News, Precious Semevo, Sunyane.
Time for business, and when Daryl joins us, he'll be telling us how the Joint Immigration and Cocoa Task Force has intercepted bags of cocoa beans that were being smuggled to Togo. More on that and other business stories after this.
Mandate, which is to teach, to conduct research, and also to offer community service.
We are affiliated to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and partnering with the University of Utah.
When I was looking for a place to study public health in Ghana, Ensign was my first choice. We have all the resources here to get the work done.
I find that when students come here, they put all their efforts into this, and by the end, they surprise themselves.
We have lectures starting Thursday in the afternoon, Friday, and then Saturday.
For a student to be admitted to the Ensign College, they need to have completed a bachelor's program.
If you come here to study, there should be no single reason why your study cannot be successful.
Deadline for the submission of admission forms has been extended to Tuesday, 30th June 2020. Apply now. Ensign College, leading the future of health.
Say this rhyme with me. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and all play and no work makes Jack a lazy boy. We've been learning from home all this time on Ghana's first educational channel, Joy Learning. Now it's time to have fun and prove to other schools how beautiful our uniforms are. Yes, the Joy Learning Uniform Challenge on Instagram is the place to prove this. Follow us on Instagram at joy_learning_TV. Take a beautiful picture of yourself in your school uniform from home. Post your picture and tag us at joy_learning_TV. #uniform challenge. Win the bragging rights as the school with the most beautiful uniform in GH, as well as the most well-dressed student title, and be acknowledged on all our social media handles and Joy Learning TV. Please, all students, stay away from this contest too. But if you still have your uniform as fresh and beautiful, you can try it. Why not? Joy Learning. Keep learning.
Good afternoon and welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. A joint immigration and cocoa board task force has intercepted 79 bags of cocoa beans that were being smuggled to Togo over the weekend. Peter Sanu has more in the following report.
But for the vigilance of the immigration officers on duty and the intelligence unit from Cocoa Board, these 79 unstandardized sacks of cocoa beans would have left the borders of Ghana. Sources say there was initial resistance from the 5 smugglers until the 2 officers on duty overpowered them at about 1:48 a.m., with one of the officers being injured on the hand. The 5 smugglers, we are told, are currently on self-cognizance bail with their motor tricycles as sureties. Assistant Commissioner of Immigration Felix Ajiman Bosompim is the sector commander at the Kano border.
Exactly on 01:48 hours on the 4th of June 2020, 2 of our officers who were deployed to one of the unapproved routes in the Ketu North District intercepted 5 motor tricycles fully loaded with cocoa beans. Recently, we intercepted some vehicles. We intercepted planting for food and job fertilizers, as well as agrochemicals. We recently also intercepted quantities of marijuana. And then just a few days ago, we had these sacks of cocoa beans that were all being smuggled to neighboring Togo. We are also appealing to the general public and the community that we are in this together. So they should assist us in volunteering information. Our officers and men are trained to protect their identity, so for that they should be assured that we will protect their identity.
With only 2 patrol vehicles, 2 motorbikes, with some officers fueling and using their personal motorbikes for patrol duties on a large duty point, ACI Bosompim is asking for support to enable the areas under his command receive the necessary surveillance.
Now, businesses that use the country's ports are demanding quick resolution of clearance challenges. Importers have been struggling to clear goods since last Monday. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for instance, says it would not be fair for businesses to bear the cost of demurrage and rent charges at the ports. Nana P.J. Dankoso, the first, is president of the chamber.
Coming in from Unipass, we thought that there was going to be a better and efficient process whereby revenues or the time spent, at the port to clear duties could be maximized, and what has happened now is rather unfortunate. Seriously, we thought that, and I think that's why the government took that decision of changing from GCNet and the other one, which is GCNet, to this Unipass. And that all other loopholes that have been created and other things that were not properly done could be, addressed. And for me, we are not so much into whether changing from GCNet to Unipass, that is more important. But we are looking at the effective and efficient way of delivery, whereby things or goods can be cleared within a shortest possible time, so that we can have most of the goods not going to demurrage. The challenge now is that who pays at this time, who pays for the demurrage? And we implore the Minister of Trade and Industry and the Minister of Finance with the GRA to come together to see how best we can resolve. Other than that, it will create that unnecessary impasse, and I think at this time it is not necessary for us to go through.
And there's more coming up at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Up next, sports.
My name is Mama Rita, Mrs. Rita Kranchiankra, the wife of the Apostle General of Royal House Chapel. My darling, COVID-19 has come. It is with us. It is just by God's grace that I sit here. I haven't tested. As to whether I have it or not, I do not know. Please, let's stop the stigmatization now. If we are not careful, people who get it will not own up. People who get it will not run to the hospitals. People who get it will not go for cure. Let's stop it now.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News today. Let's do some sport now. An astute broadcaster and sports analyst Carl Tuffour has revealed why coach Bouka Aziz stripped Kwesi Appiah of the Black Stars captaincy and handed it to Abedi Pele ahead of the 1992 Africa Cup of Nations in Senegal. Now, there are suggestions that the maestro was chosen as skipper of the team because he could speak French. But speaking on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM last Saturday, Carl Tuffour revealed that Bouka Aziz chose Abedi Pele because he could not guarantee Kwesi Appiah a playing place in his first team.
That was Bouka Aziz's first match.
Exactly.
Sarah Mensah got that goal. Kofi Abre played. Safi Jemfi played. Stanley Abra played. On the basis of that performance in the earlier qualifier, a second qualifier, sorry, Bouka Aziz made it known to myself, and this was in Winneba sometime in March of 91. Myself, I don't know if I should mention the others, but I'll mention just one more. Papa Pencil was with us.
Okay.
There were 3 other guys with us. I'll tell you off air, but I won't tell because they have not given me permission to say it. That he could not guarantee Kwesi Appiah a starting role in the team he was building. So
I see. Bukar Caesar told you that he could not guarantee
Kwesi Appiah a starting role in the project he was doing.
I see.
And so he was going to take Abedi Pele as the captain.
I see.
And so I said this last week when the insert that you played with the DVD. So we were, quote, as journalists, and you know it, sworn to secrecy until he would come out with the announcement.
Big revelations there. Now, as leagues begin to resume in parts of the world, the question is, when will continental and international competitions be played? And Confederation of African Football Deputy Secretary in charge of Football Development, Tony Bafo, says that every precaution must be taken to ensure the safety of players.
We have already created different scenarios, and of course also worst case scenarios. But don't forget, again, we are working in close collaboration with the WHO, and then also when we have better visibility in terms of when all the borders are going to open, when people can travel in a normal way, I think then the adequate organs, bodies, committees will then also take a decision according to the scenarios we provide.
Well, there is more at 2 p.m. when I bring you sports today. In the meantime, there is more here. World news comes up. There's also entertainment, all of it here on Joy News Today. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
Take a tour through Ghana's fastest growing online portal, www.adumonline.com, for local and international news, business, entertainment, politics, lifestyle, sports, and more. Watch the most intriguing YouTube videos on demand and live streaming of Adum TV, Ghana's #1 television station. Listen to live radio and podcast of all your favorite Adum FM programs, no matter your location and time. AdumOnline.com is an audio, photos, and video focused website. We break the news as and when it happens. AdumOnline.com is on web and app, making it easy to visit via phone, tablet, and desktop. AdumOnline.com, Ghana's most comprehensive news portal.
Welcome to World News. And South African schools are reopening after the government's eased lockdown measures, with the education minister saying 95% of the learning institutions have met requirements for safe reopening. The government has disinfected school premises and distributed masks and personal protective gear. The reopening of schools was postponed by 1 week to allow for full compliance. Local broadcasters have been sharing videos of learners streaming back to schools on Monday. School administrators have ensured that students are adhering to social distancing, washing of hands, and having their temperatures checked on arrival. Minister Angie Mosheka said they are working on schools that are not ready for reopening, with the biggest challenge being the sanitation of premises. And that's it for World News. Up next is Showbiz.
Celebrating 25 years of joy.
To our audience, the chiefs and people of Ghana,
we say Baraka.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Now, the CEO of Charterhouse, organizers of the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, says a decision on whether or not dancehall artist Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale will be readmitted in the award scheme is yet to be taken.
We haven't had a conversation around that yet.
Interesting.
When we're ready to make full announcements on VGMA, I think we'll come out with a full statement on everything.
It hasn't come up at all.
And no, we haven't. I mean, we haven't met. We haven't really come up with any clear direction in terms of that. Whether anything has changed from the last position, we haven't had any conversation around.
Meanwhile, Stonebwoy has cleared the air on his relationship with colleague Manifest on Joy News Beyond the Lockdown. According to him, no bad blood exists between the two, contrary to the assumption of some fanatics in the music space.
I have the two of you here. Okay, any of you can go. Stonebwoy and Manifest. I'm asking the two of you.
Yo, Stonebwoy, let's do a battle right now if they want it.
Why not? Let's do it.
You know, I think the topic for the day is not the battle. As far as I'm concerned, they can't predict. These things do happen, and it always takes, we always get to understand better as time goes on. So for me, I'm not bothered. If I was really bothered, I think I met Manifest one time. You see, people actually, we have discerning listeners, and sometimes people get involved when they don't really. And what I'll say honestly is that I think Manifest just did a verse, and the verse he just did a verse. He was not involved in anything. Probably, I don't know, except he's here. He can tell me if he had details to probably fixing that verse. But after the verse he did, the masses who had details and could point things out, he knows. I read some of the comments pointed at some things that I think he would go and check later and be like, oh, what was this one I just got involved in or something? So taking it from that perspective, I didn't hold it too hard. I just left it because I don't. If I had anything to do, any personal issues with Manifest, then I can accept the fact that the punchlines he dropped as a lyricist, I would take it personal. But I do not have anything personal or any qualms with him. So.
That'll be all for Showbiz here on Joy News today, Daniel.
That's some history you're seeing there, some music history.
Yeah.
Stonebwoy, Manifest, all of that. Very soon, Becky and I will do our rap and then we'll have our beef. And then we can come beyond the lockdown.
Okay.
That's it for this bulletin of Joy News today. She's speechless. For more news, Becky,
log on to myjoyonline.com.
Up next is The Marketplace with Daryl Kwao. Have a great new week. My name is Daniel. We'll be back tomorrow.
News Today was brought to you by
Number 10 liver salt from Ernest Chemists, because everyone needs a chemist.
From waste to maggots, Maggot as feed for livestock, fish and poultry, a circular economy approach to fighting climate change.
We started in 2018. We have been able to mop close to between 20 to 25 tons of waste from these abattoirs, and we'll be able to recycle that to produce this maggot feed.
The story of Need Eco Feed on Climate Focus.
By Zoom is
Dance Terror, your dance channel.
It's Twitch on the jacket, yeah. I said one, yeah, na 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 na. Yeah. And very soon we for celebrate. Why some